Hi, Iga. Just tell us a bit more about the pasta and strawberries. Is that like a is
Why
that
is it such a big thing? Everybody should eat that.
is that a Polish dish or?
I think so. Yeah, I think like in summer, like kids are eating it a lot. I don't know. It's just a perfect mix of tastes, So it is a Polish thing, right? Yeah. Yeah. We have great strawberries in Poland as well. So
Who has better strawberries than Poland or England?
honestly, I think Poland, because we have better climate for strawberries. I think, right? But now Wimbledon probably is going to ban me from from answering these questions. No, the strawberries are great here as well. They're different, but they're great as well.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim, and Chris. On today's Wimbledon Day 6 catch up, brought to you by Babolat.
Djokovic notches 100 Wimbledon wins.
Defending champ Krejcikova crashes out.
And Sinner strolls on.
Chris, today is the 5th of July. We are here to catch up on Wimbledon Day 6 action at Tennis Weekly HQ, brought to you by Babolat. And well, we've had a bit of a contrasting day today. We've had two former Wimbledon champions fall out of the women's singles. Barbora Krejcikova being upset at the hands of Emma Navarro, and Elena Rybakina by Clara Tauson of Denmark, who hadn't actually won a match at Wimbledon before this year. So lots going on the women's side. We'll definitely have a new Wimbledon champion crowned at the end of this fortnight. However, on the men's side, the top seeds sailing through very comfortably with Jannik Sinner and Novak Djokovic steamrolling their opponents yet again. We had a wet start to the day, rain, the roof was out, then it was closed again, and then we had more rain. So all sorts of things happening today. And we'll also, after getting through all of that, we'll be previewing our first day of fourth round action, which gets underway tomorrow.
Our Wimbledon coverage is brought to you by Babolat.
Babolat is an official partner of Wimbledon and the racket of choice for defending champion Carlos Alcaraz.
And this year, Babolat are celebrating 150 years of youth, passion, and innovation, making the hearts of racket lovers worldwide beat faster.
And you can celebrate with Babolat at their 150 years Babolat booth on the grounds at Wimbledon.
Visit the booth to experience the history of the brand, see the exclusive Babolat Wimbledon collection, and put your volley to the test with their interactive target practice wall.
And don't forget to pop into their photo booth before you leave the grounds so you can take home a special memory from your day at SW19.
And if you would like to purchase their official Wimbledon or 150-year collections, visit babolat.com today.
So, Chris, where do we begin? We are actually, I have to say, recording slightly earlier tonight. Although it's been a full day of play, we haven't had as late a night as last night because we haven't had that, fantastic sort of late night thriller under the centre court roof. Much earlier finish for everyone. So a bit extra sleep tonight, I think.
We will get a bit of extra sleep. It was also quite strange coming back in the light. We've almost been leaving under nightfall. So it's nice to see a bit of London whilst the sun is still out. I mean, it's not necessarily the earliest of nights we'll be getting, Kim. That's very optimistic of you because we are recording this after 10 p.m. So
it's early by Wimbledon standards.
Early by Wimbledon standards. We are recording before the curfew.
Before the curfew. Yeah. Imagine if we had a Tennis Weekly curfew. Got to be.
We wouldn't get anything done, would we? We'd have to really be productive.
There would be no podcast. Well, the curfew has not had to come into action today on centre court. In fact, far from it, because Novak Djokovic and Jannik Sinner certainly got the job done very quickly, as did Iga Swiatek on centre court. All matches, straight sets and sort of done and dusted, really. Let's start with Djokovic. He has now achieved 100 Wimbledon wins, which is quite mind-blowing when you think about it. Players dream of winning even, one match at Wimbledon, and he has won 100 of them.
It's a bit greedy, isn't it, Kim?
I mean, I do wonder. He's at other slams. He's still got a way to go. I think at the US Open, he's on maybe 90 match wins. So should he maybe get his 25th slam? Do you think he might, just stick around in order to get 100 across the board?
Well, I mean, he's got 100 titles now. That was probably a big one for him. I think he's sticking around for slams. So if he wins the US Open, I don't think he'll be complaining if he ends on 98 wins there, if he does hit 25 and 25.
Yeah, well, his 100th match win came against fellow Serbian Kekmanovic today. And yeah, he was supreme against him. And, you know, I feel when he plays fellow Serbians, they are often not the most competitive of matches. And this one was no different, really. But it was an absolute masterclass from Djokovic. I don't think there was anything Kekmanovic could have really done against him. You know, Djokovic was supreme against Dan Evans in the last round, and his form just seems to be getting better and better as the tournament progresses. With the way things are going, Djokovic dead cert for at least the semi-finals, Chris, would you say?
I think so. And I think you'd have to look at his record here and the fact that if you look at the 100 wins, he hasn't lost a match at Wimbledon to anyone other than Carlos Alcaraz since 2017. And even that defeat was a player who he had to retire against, I think. So, I mean, it's looking like it will take a Carlos Alcaraz to defeat him. He might meet Jannik Sinner, I believe, in the semi-final. So it could be particularly interesting, that semi-final. But, I mean, based on the way he's playing, I mean, it was pretty much flawless. I mean, 60 winners, 19 unforced errors. He's playing so well off the ground and off the serve. I mean, I was quite blown away by his serving numbers because they were looking at the serve quality of Djokovic, Kim, and he's at his highest serve quality that he has had at the championships across, well, since they started tracking the serve quality. So since 2022, he's had an 8.9, and he made the final the last 2 years at an 8.4 and an 8.2. And even won it on a 7.9. So Djokovic is really putting it together. And I think he's talked about this being the time that he feels like he has the best chance. The slam is the best one for him to get 25. And I think I'm starting to think, hang on a minute, you know, the gap that we saw between him and Sinner at Roland Garros on grass, that might be completely eliminated.
I think I've got a feeling that Djokovic is going to get 25 in 2025. I think just
one of the next two, then
it's got to happen, isn't it? And I do think Wimbledon is his better chance. And I feel that, you know, we had the Sinner Alcaraz final at the French, fantastic. Everyone's talking about them. And then what a way to kind of come in and say, hey, I'm still here. I'm going to put a blocker on your rivalry for the time being.
Put a pin in it.
It's time for me to kind of make everyone remember I'm still here. I think that just that narrative would work quite nicely for Novak Djokovic. But yeah, I think that blip he had in the first round against Muller, that's that second set, and him feeling a bit, you know, the sickness, I think that's kind of well and truly gone for now, because he does seem to be very, very comfortable as evidenced today on centre court. So, and I think, you know, he is that little bit older. So when he comes to face arguably Jannik Sinner in the semi-finals, coming through these matches nice and quickly will hopefully, you know, give him that extra sort of helping hand as well, perhaps.
Yeah, he said he bumped into Gael Monfils earlier in the tournament, and he said that, you know, a good day is a day when, like, it doesn't hurt the next day, sort of thing. And I feel like he won't be hurting at all after this one. In fact, I think he might feel quite fresh. He might put an extra booking on the practice courts because he didn't spend much time on court. He was not pushed particularly. And so I think fresh is what he's looking for. And especially kind of as this moves forward, I think he is not looking to be challenged until absolutely necessary.
No, he'll be skipping all the way back to his rented accommodation, I'm sure, tonight. But one player who's also been really supreme on serve is Jannik Sinner, because he has made his way through to the fourth round. He thrashed Pedro Martinez today on centre court as the first match. And he's actually not dropped his serve yet this week. He's into the fourth round without dropping a single service game. So 37 service games ticked off, done and dusted without dropping his serve. And he's obviously managed to save all break points he's faced, and he's only had to face 8 of them across the 3 matches. He's actually only dropped 17 games, Chris, and that is the lowest number of games anyone has dropped on their way to the fourth round since 1972 at Wimbledon specifically. Anyone want to guess who that player was back in 1972? Do you want to take a punt?
72. I'm not even sure who's playing in 72. I don't want to expose myself here, but
I've put you on the spot. It's not fair of me, is it?
who is it, Kim?
Jan Kodes. So
that was going to be my guess. I was going to say that.
Really? Okay.
No, absolutely not.
You know, it's not modern day WTA, so less of your specialist
subject. This is well outside the remit. 1972 Wimbledon.
No. But yes, Sinner has that record now. And And, this match we saw today was, not the greatest, most competitive match in the world, but, Jannik Sinner is progressing very safely through. And, from what you saw of him today, Chris, I mean, what was there anything, aside from his brilliance to really talk about this match? It just feels like every time Sinner's coming out into centre court, it's like, routine, dominance. And I feel like you almost, does it become like you struggle for something to talk about because it's just so sort of one-sided,
so routine. Yeah,
predictable.
it is very predictable. I think, especially when it was like 5-love up in a matter of minutes. So I think we all thought this would be straight sets. I think we thought it would be very simple. It was probably even more simple than we thought. I mean, we shouldn't really have to get excited that someone took 3 games of Jannik Sinner in a set, but I mean, it is almost how many games can you get? And we keep reminding ourselves of that Vukic quote from the other day, where I mean, it's just like he suffocates you. And I mean, Pedro Martinez was left gasping for games out there, trying to just get on the board. I think it's just trying to survive in that environment. And it's quite interesting because we've been talking about the fact that he is able to kind of play so well all the time, so consistently. And we did say after the French Open final, we feel like Alcaraz has the magic that can take him above Sinner's level, but Sinner is so consistent. And that's exactly what Joel asked Jannik Sinner in press after the match.
Hi, Jannik. Congratulations on your win today. You've not dropped a set going into round 4. How do you think you're able to kind of keep bringing out your best tennis, regardless of who your opponent is? Because Carlos has struggled at times. He's dropped a few sets. How have you been able to maintain that consistency?
Yeah, I mean, I just try to watch more my side of the net and trying to keep my level as high as I can. And, never taking things for granted in any case, because especially on grass, when you're mentally not 100%, or maybe you're a bit slow at times, and it's easily dropped one set. One break is easily done, as we saw today in the second set. He had a couple of break points. If I don't serve well there, then things can go complicated. But I'm happy, of course. In the other way, now let's see what's coming, because the opponents, obviously, they are whoever is in the 4th round. They deserve to be there, and means that they play a very high level of tennis. So let's see what's coming. But in general terms, I think for the first week, I'm very happy.
Yeah, I think quite a nice answer from Sinner there. He's just got to focus on what he's doing, and he's expecting a tougher tests to come in the the next few rounds. But I mean, I have to say, I think he's looking extremely strong, and I do think Sinner Djokovic Friday afternoon, it's going to happen, bar something very strange occurring in the next week.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so disciplined as well from that answer. It just makes you realize that, he respects everyone he's playing, but also he's so focused on like making sure he's 100% there mentally, that he does everything as well as he can, because it's a good point. As soon as that serve goes, it can get really complicated. And we did see that, for players like Rybakina, who struggles to get over 50% first serves in. On grass, if you can't rely on your serve, or if things do go a bit wrong, you want to run all the other aspects of your game. So, I mean, he's making sure everything's working like a well-oiled machine out there. And I'm not sure anyone's got an answer for it, at least, as we've said, until the semi-finals.
Yes. Well, let's see if anyone can, upset the apple cart. Other players who have made it through to the 4th round include Alex De Minaur and Grigor Dimitrov. They both had straight sets victories. Alex De Minaur winning against the Danish hope, August Holmgren, whose, fantastic run here has finally come to an end, against a player who, is extremely consistent at slams. Actually, Alex De Minaur has reached the 4th round at 7 of the last 8 slams. So it was always inevitable, you feel, that he was going to make it through to
it was going to happen.
Week.
I mean, he's really consistent, but I do just think that from looking at some of these stats, I mean, he knew that if he was able to consistently defend well, a player like August, who's so inexperienced at this level, who is more attacking, is unlikely to be able to get the ball past him more times than he will miss it. So it wasn't the most exciting affair that I've ever seen. I mean, winners, he only hit 3 winners in that first set, Alex De Minaur, and 2 unforced errors. So he just locked it down. He was the human wall. He embodied that. Whereas August was kind of leaking errors at times, and that's what made the difference. But I guess that's my question for you, Kim, around De Minaur, is that you've said he's so consistent, which he is, which is commendable, but it doesn't necessarily get you slam titles or slam semifinals or finals. Do you have to be more aggressive on the grass in order to come away with a Wimbledon title?
I think so. I think you do need to be like braver and bolder, which is actually something that Iga Swiatek spoke about, but sort of being brave after her match today. And I do think that Alex de Minaur just falls into that Mr. Consistency, but quite predictable trap. So his opponents kind of always know what they're getting. And I don't want to say this again, but I think he will fall into that Rublev bridesmaid, never the bride story, because unless he dramatically shifts something up, it's almost like, everyone knows what they're getting.
They do, don't they?
The other
Kim,
end.
why is the phrase not always an usher, never a groom? We could try using that maybe.
Sexist world we live in. I'm guilty of let's switch it up and do
every
that
now and then,
forwards.
Maybe we will.
But Grigor Dimitrov also threw nice for him, because it's been a while since he's had success at a slam. It feels like he's gone out in the first round at the AO and the French earlier this year, but he now has 100 wins at all slams. Does Grigor? So
that
Djokovic
puts in perspective, doesn't it? Just what he's done. I mean, that is crazy when you think about, because he's had some deep runs before. But we did actually have an encounter. We didn't manage to watch any of the Dimitrov match, but we did see his movie star girlfriend walk past us. We were on the media balcony, didn't we, Kim? And I mean, that was very exciting, because I mean, there's now definitely competition for Morgan Riddle when it comes to all the different sort of fashions that we're seeing around, because she looked very, very glamorous as we drank our free media tinny, Kim.
Yeah, we were having some free gin and tonics out of a tin, and then she sort of
and a movie star walked past,
struts past, and we felt quite
she
drab.
did smile though, so
yeah, she did smile. Yeah,
yes,
in fairness. So,
good spirits.
She adds some style to Wimbledon. There's lots of it around, actually. We see a lot of people in their finery, and we're sort of, just sweating
in our workwear
corner. Yeah. One final match as well. I mean, well, lots happened today, but Cilic came through against Jaume Munar, court 18. So Mallorca's final hope is out, but Cilic plows on. So Jack Draper's conqueror continues his run. And also we had Lorenzo Sonego upsetting Brandon Nakashima in a
and
final
upsetting
set
you, Kim, as well,
tie-break.
right?
Well, I did think it was a great opportunity for Nakashima to get into another fourth round here, and it was a bit of a waste, because he had 4 set points in the second set. He was up a break in the third set and in the fifth set, and lost. They were the 3 sets he lost. So really, he should have got the win, but obviously it's about when you win the points, and he wasn't able to play his best tennis in the moments that mattered most. So Sonego is through to play another day. But let's now take a quick break. We'll be back in the second half to discuss all of the women's action from day 6 at Wimbledon, including how one of the favourites, Elena Rybakina, and also the defending champion, Barbora Krejcikova, got on in their matchups. And we'll be looking ahead to day 7, as we have the last 2 Brits left, Sonne Cartel and Cam Norrie, in action tomorrow. So do not go anywhere. Welcome back to the Tennis Weekly podcast, brought to you by Babolat. And it's time now to look back at the women's results from day 6, where we did have Barbora Krejcikova, the defending Wimbledon singles champion for the ladies side, out at the hands of 10th seed Emma Navarro. This was on court 1, second match on. It all looked like it was going swimmingly for Krejcikova after she won the first set 6-2, but Navarro managed to turn things around, and she got the win 6-4 in the third. So Krejcikova is out. This was a bit of a strange one, Chris. It wasn't the best tennis. It was a bit, scrappy at times. And Krejcikova in tears at the end, a couple of games, from losing. struggling as well with possibly an injury. She had the doctor out, her blood pressure was being checked, so not entirely sure what was going on. But it was not a day to remember for Barbora, was it?
It wasn't, and you were at that match. You were giving us the updates. I think it was doomed from the start, Kim, because they didn't actually close the roof. So even when they did get going, they had to stop very early on. And then Krejcikova was covering herself in towels to keep warm. It looks like she just made a trip kind of to the spa. And then there was a big sort of delay in play, which then led to this sort of very strange sort of match. And then we weren't sure what happened from an injury perspective. The level was a bit off, and you never really want to see a defending champion go out like that. It just felt like it was a shame the way it happened. But I mean, Joel's prophecy does live on that Emma Navarro is winning. Can't remember why was Emma Navarro winning, Kim?
Emma Navarro is winning Wimbledon because she beat Veronika Kudermetova. And that's just how it rolls, basically. Okay. Yeah.
So this result was already known before it started.
It was fate has intervened here. Sorry, Barbora. Yes.
Something bigger is at work.
Exactly. I mean, that final set, they just kept breaking each other. I was like, who is going to hold serve? Whoever wants to hold serve will win the match. And Emma Navarro did manage to do that. Although before she did, Krejcikova, she had a bit of a medical moment and then managed to break back, but then lost her serve immediately after. So yeah, all a bit up and down. It wasn't the best tennis. But the stupid thing I thought was that, the roof had actually been closed for the first match, which was Andreeva Baptiste, and then they'd reopened it. And then literally after 2 games, it started raining. So there was this big interlude where...
Yeah, and centre court was closed and stayed closed.
Yes, so very inconsistent from the Wimbledon decision makers there, I thought. But to be honest, I don't think it affected the result of the match.
It was too early on.
It was too early on. If it had come a bit later, it might have been, more influential. But yeah, I thought someone bring Krejcikova a nice fluffy, towel robe or something to keep her warm. But
Wimbledon do make some. They do actually.
Towels.
Yeah, get the Wimbledon towels. They do make a bathrobe. I've seen that on my Instagram as a promoted post. So maybe she can pick one up in case this happens again in the future.
Yes, and hopefully she will get a nice Lego set maybe to work on.
Lego towels, sort of not quite as good, are they, Kim?
But why do defending champions at Wimbledon have it so difficult, Chris? Because if we look at previous defending champions, none of them have done particularly great of late. Obviously, Vondrousova lost on the first round last year to Bouzas Monero. Rybakina lost in the 3rd round, I think, when she defended her title, obviously same as Krejcikova here. And then if you look at our Wimbledon champions prior to Rybakina, well, they've all retired from the sport now. So we are obviously going to get a new champion this year. Rybakina is also out, which we'll get onto in a second. But we haven't seen anyone defend their title since Serena Williams in 2015 and 2016. Is Wimbledon particularly difficult to defend, do you think?
I think it is. I think the nature of what we've heard from the players and what Iga said previously as well is that grass creates more upsets. We've seen like a record number of seeds out at this stage, which makes you think that, the odds are against the players with form and the players who are seeded doing well. And of course, if you won it the year before, you're obviously going to be seeded. So, I mean, just 28 seeds remain. It's the fewest seeded players in the 3rd round of a Grand Slam since the 32 seed format was introduced. So the evidence points to the fact that this is a tough one to perform well at despite the form book. But it ultimately comes down to the fact that you don't play that much on grass. And this means that players who had to play qualifying, for example, might have played a lot more than the top players have played. Like Coco played 1 match. If you don't build grass into your schedule, there's a high chance you're going to get upset. And I think probably on the other side of things, Vondrousova and Krejcikova also were out most of the year after they did actually win because of injury. And some of the other people on the list, I mean, Ash Barty, she did actually... go on to win like more slams after that. So when it says that she's retired, it's not necessarily that she retired after that win. She did achieve more success. So this is just Wimbledon coming back to Wimbledon. I think it doesn't show it's a flash in the pan. It just is. It's a very unique surface.
Yeah, and it's exciting, on the other side, the flip side, that we will get a new champion this year, and let's see who that will be. We'll know in about a week's time, once the women's final has happened. So exciting. But Emma Navarro will be facing Mirra Andreeva in her fourth round, because Andreeva came through against Baptiste straight sets today, pretty comfortable. Baptiste, I saw sort of most of this match, and she's got a real rocket, Andreeva described her forehand as, but she's very inconsistent at putting her best tennis together, so wasn't enough to challenge Andreeva, who I feel like with each match that passes, she is getting that little bit more experience on the grass and getting better, and perhaps if she gets a few more wins here, she will be really a strong contender here. But we did pose a question to Mirra in press about her coach, actually, because that is Conchita Martinez, who has previously coached Muguruza to the title here. So let's have a listen to what Andreeva had to say.
Hi Mirra, congratulations on your win today. Your coach, Conchita Martinez, is a former Wimbledon champion. She also coached Garbiñe Muguruza, a former Wimbledon champion. Where do you feel like the biggest improvements she has made on your grass game, and how important is that experience going into the second week of Wimbledon?
I can for sure say that she gave me more confidence. Because when I arrived to London after my loss in Bad Hamburg, and also after my loss in Berlin, I was like, I don't know, I didn't feel super great and super confident with the way I played. So yeah, we had just a couple of practices, I think maybe 3 days of practices, and we just really focused on kind of trying to hit a lot of balls and to fix the movement on grass as well. So I think that the first thing she brought back to me is my confidence, and also with step by step I feel like I'm improving my movement on the grass as well, and I also learned how to deal with some tough shots when sometimes, for example, I don't know, a player hits the line, and most of the time the ball doesn't bounce at all, it just bounces up and it doesn't bounce at you. So yeah, I feel like now I'm also starting to learn how to deal with those tricky shots, and yeah, I feel like with every match I play, we kind of do the analyze, and after I feel better and better and more confident in my game.
So interesting, yeah, that she's been saying, she really came in, 2 years ago, essentially without any grass experience, and now here, she's come in playing Bad Homburg, Berlin, not getting some great wins, but with every year that passes, with every kind of day, she's getting that experience, and having Conchita by her side as well has been, I think quite instrumental to her as well. One of the nicer partnerships, I think, in women's tennis that we see, would you say it's quite they seem to have a real strength between them in their bond?
Yeah, it feels very maternal in some ways. I think it does feel like she looks up to her and they look out for each other, and the age obviously being so young for Andreeva, I think having someone who is able to look out for her in that way, who is also a female coach, I think is really important when you see what can happen if you have a male coach at times when they're very young. We've seen some quite unfortunate things happen. So I think it's just nice. This is really wholesome. And, Conchita's done it on grass. She did it in 94 and maybe in 2025. I'm like, what year
What year is it?
Yeah, I know. I was just looking at what year it is, but maybe it could be a chance that Mirra will be able to emulate that. And that would be a lovely story, wouldn't it? When you think about Novotná and Krejcikova and what happened previously, that was another coaching relationship there, and they both managed to win it. And obviously very sad in terms of Novotná, but you just feel like this is a really beautiful thing.
Yes, it is. And I mean, let's now talk about the other not defending champion, but former champion, Elena Rybakina. She was out on what they call the graveyard of champions, and it did sort of prove to be so today, because she lost in straight sets to Clara Tauson, who, is seeded. She's, the 23rd seed. She's, had some good wins, but not so much on the grass before. But this is probably the biggest win of her career, really. 7-6, 6-3, she came through over Rybakina. what did you make of this one? It got the Danish contingent stay off to a great start because August Holmgren was sort of following this on the same court. But, me and Joel predicted Rybakina for the title here. So for her to sort of lose in the third round to Tauson, I did not see this one coming.
Well, that's true. You did, didn't you? I think I am not going to linger on that too much, but I'm glad that you brought it up and not me, Kim, because I did actually threaten Kim on the way home saying, oh, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to make sure that our listeners are well aware of that prediction. But I think this is a match that when you see it, you could see potential upset, I think. The nature of where the court that she was on came up in her press. Very windy out there. And I was saying to Kim whilst we were watching this that it's very windy in Denmark. And so the club where Tauson plays also where producer Elena and I play, and it's very, very windy. So I think a Dane in the wind is very dangerous because even though she's a big hitter, I think she's very used to some quite tricky conditions. And it was quite tricky out there. It was gloomy, it was cold, and it was windy. So it reminded me of being at home in Denmark where I live. But I mean, a very impressive effort from her, really good behind the serve. And I think what's great about Clara is that when she's on, it's big hitting. But what was so great about it was that she was defending well as well. And I think that's something people don't think about enough with her game. She's not necessarily the most famous defender on the tour, but she was winning all kinds of points and really kind of mixing it in with slices and making it awkward. And I think that's what you've got to do against Rybakina is make it awkward, and did a fantastic job. So a breakout star this championships.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a bit of Tauson against Heather Watson in the first round, and I thought Watson had chances to potentially upset Tauson there. So it's funny how Tauson's sort of now into the fourth round, and she'd never actually won a main draw match at Wimbledon until this tournament, this year.
Or on grass, I think I read somewhere. So I mean, maybe that Heather Watson, if you can beat Heather on grass, we should have taken a bit more note after round one.
Yeah, I mean, just a note on court too, because Rybakina was asked about it. Did you feel like you should have been on this court, or would you have expected one of the two main courts? And Rybakina did sort of say, she maybe court one, but fair enough, you've got to play where you're put. But obviously it's nicer to play on the other courts with a roof. But yeah, did you think this was the right match to have put on court two, or would you have scheduled it elsewhere?
It's tricky, isn't it? Because who is a bigger name in the sport at the moment? I mean, these are two seeded players who are playing. Andreeva was playing against Baptiste, who's not seeded, and Rybakina has obviously won it before. So from a scheduling perspective, the highest seed was scheduled on court one. Rybakina has not had the best luck when it's come to the court she's been put on after she won the title. I think she does tend to get a bit of a bum deal at these sorts of tournaments. So I don't think it made a big impact. And she did just say, it's obviously great to put in a show court. Having a roof is great. At the same time, she said, we're playing on the same court. So she made no excuses for it. She did not bring it up, but she was asked what she honestly thought. And she said, obviously, I'd have liked to be on court one, but she didn't think that she deserved that by any means. She was very humble about everything. And fully own the fact that, she didn't get it done today.
Yeah, no, we're not trying to paint her as a diva, far from it, because she's certainly not. But yeah, if Tauson progresses through, well played to her, handling the wind. And I'm curious how windy Denmark is as a nation, Chris, after what you said there. So
a lot of wind farms.
Wind farms.
Yes, indeed. That's a good sign. It means wind power, very sustainable.
Absolutely. Well, one player who was on a show court was Iga Swiatek up against Danielle Collins on centre court. And we thought this one might be a bit trickier than perhaps it actually was, because Collins, got the better of Iga the last time they played, but it was a different story today. 6-2, 6-3 for Swiatek, and it seems like her confidence on the grass has increased this year. She's feeling a bit freer, and I think that it was reflected in the match today, Chris.
It was. I was watching this one on centre court, and I was so impressed with how she played this. It was almost like the Iga from previous clay seasons had stepped onto a grass court and looked as comfortable. I think she was moving brilliantly. I think she is actually much better when she's being more aggressive. And she said she had to be brave. She knew she had to almost take the racket out of Collins's hand because she could just hit winners and you wouldn't have a chance. So I loved the fact that she was more aggressive. She said she played brave tennis. She actually hit more winners than Danielle Collins, which is not what you would expect. She hit 15 winners. Danielle only hit 11. But importantly, Danielle made 25 unforced errors. And that really was the story of this match. Whereas Iga ran a tight ship with 10 unforced errors. She also served really well, and I think that's something that's kind of underrated about Iga is that first serve when she does land it. She did win a lot of points behind it, 86%. She was serving aces at key moments. So I think this actually convinced me for the first time this tournament, or probably ever, that Iga Swiatek could win Wimbledon.
Well, she, along with Sabalenka, the only two Grand Slam champions actually in the women's draw, still left in. So they are on potentially for a final against each other. I mean, Swiatek, do you think she's now the favourite to come through that bottom half?
I do. I was really, really impressed with this level. I think she looked way more comfortable than she has been. She said she's having fun out there. And I think it would be quite interesting after, her clay game sort of fell apart this season in many ways, if grass became her savior, because normally grass is not people's savior who are kind of struggling to rediscover their clay form. It's almost the opposite. So I think that would be really interesting if she could have a deep run here, because I was watching her and there's no reason why she doesn't have a game for grass when she plays more aggressively. And it feels like the work that she did making the final previously last weekend, Bad Homburg, was a great setup for this. She took it much more seriously, the preparation, and she looks more prepared than a lot of the top seeds were this tournament.
She also said that she went to Mallorca to do some extra grass practice, I think, before
Rafa must have been Rafa again.
So I think Mallorca is just the place to base yourself. I think there's that magic touch and, something in the water there, perhaps. But I think fantastic for Iga, and maybe ironic that grass might be her the thing and the surface that rekindles her year, perhaps.
Right. And also, I was thinking the other thing is that it could be her love for strawberries, as we heard at the start, that potentially could have brought this love for SW19, Kim. Isn't that right?
Well, I feel like I need to book a holiday to Poland to go and test out their strawberries, because, she was raving about them in press, and I'm going to try and cook that strawberries and pasta and yogurt dish. It sounds weird.
Would you do yogurt, or would you do... I think I'm more inclined to go with the cream side of things, but very strange. I think I'll stick to strawberries and cream without the pasta, but we haven't told Joel this yet, but Kim and I have sort of strategized that for the final, we might try Iga's Polish pasta, strawberries and yogurt dish.
Especially if she makes it to the final. I think we need to in her
If she
honor.
makes it to the final, we'll have to enjoy that whilst we watch.
Yes. One place we did go and check out, though, Chris, was the Babolat stand at Wimbledon, because both of the sort of women's matches finished before the final men's matches of the day. And we went and got our photograph taken with a hologram of Rafa at the Babolat stand, which I thought was such fun. Although Rafa, I have a bone to pick with him because he's standing on my left foot.
Is it okay?
It's fine. Yeah, my toes are a bit crushed, but
yeah.
But yes, so anyone who's on the grounds, thoroughly recommend just popping there. They've got a giant racket, and you can choose from any number of Babolat.
You could have chosen Cam Norrie. You could have chosen, was it Kenin? Alcaraz, obviously, yes. But I had to drag you there to make sure you got that picture with Rafa, because, he may not be playing this year, but Kim, you certainly got very close to him.
I did indeed.
In fact, he trod on you, yeah.
He trod on me, and it's a bit like ABBA Voyage, but for Rafa and tennis players.
Rafa Voyage?
Rafa Voyage.
At the Babolat stand. Well, yes. If that doesn't sell it to you, I don't know what will. There's lots more fun you can have there, but maybe not more than Kim had.
No, absolutely. Well, but we also did manage to catch a bit of the other earlier on in the day. We had Belinda Bencic beating Elisabetta Cocciaretto in 3 sets. She's having a fantastic run here, is Bencic. And this was, she's into the 4th round for the 4th time in her career, but she really had to work hard today, coming from 4-2 down in the 3rd set to win it on a match tie break. But you actually predicted her for the semi-finals, I think, Chris. So you sort of holding out and praying that she'll sort of justify that prediction.
I was in Greece at the time and it was very hot there. So I did think a lot of my predictions could have just come from a place of just heat exhaustion. I wasn't really sure what I was doing, but maybe it worked out for me because a lot of things have gone wrong for me this tournament when it came to collector set. But Bencic making a deep run, I couldn't see someone coming through, one of the expected players coming through this section. So I almost didn't get this one because it was very, very close to not working out for her, but she's still continuing on. So the dream of a semi-final for Bencic could happen.
Absolutely. And I tipped Alexandrova to I think reach the quarters, and she's still going. She beat Sonmez, the Turkish player who had obviously made history for Turkish women's tennis, but her story has now ended at the hands of Alexandrova, who's the more experienced player. And we also had Jessica Bouzas Monero, who obviously we all know her bursting onto the scene, beating Vondrousova last year, but she's into the fourth round here for the first time, which is, great for Spanish tennis. And she upset Yastremska today, who was the Coco Gauff conqueror. So yeah, some newish names, as well as, still some stalwarts, like, with Swiatek, Sabalenka, but yeah, only 2 former Grand Slam champions left in. So the women's draw is certainly hotting up. And let's now look at tomorrow's order of play for day 7, because the fourth round action does start. Centre court, we have Sonne Kartal, British Hope, against Pavlyuchenkova. So that is an unseeded encounter opening up the day on centre, followed by Arina Sabalenka, Elise Mertens. And then we've got Carlos Alcaraz, Andrei Rublev finishing up the action. And out on court 1, we've got Taylor Fritz, Jordan Thompson. Then Nicholas Jarry against Cameron Norrie. So the Brits are kind of split across the 2 courts tomorrow. And then last but not least, Linda Noskova against Amanda Anisimova to end court 1. And we've always got those 2 extra matches that have to be put on court 2. And Karen Khachanov and Kamil Mazurak have caught the short straw. They're out on court 2, followed by Solana Sierra and Laura Siegmund. So, gosh. Where's your pick of the action for tomorrow's play, Chris?
Oh, I think I like the sound of Rublev Alcaraz. I've got to be honest. It's the only one of these 8 matches that lived up to the seeding, with Rublev being seeded for the fourth round as well. I think Alcaraz has not been convincing. And if Rublev is able to kind of make the most of the moment, I think there's a possibility that he could do something here. I think it could be a really exciting encounter. It could even finish under the roof. So I think that one could be very interesting. And I've also got my eye on Cam Norrie and Nicholas Jarry, because I did watch both of them play. And I think it will be an entertaining contest. And I think potentially we might have a Brit making the quarterfinals.
I would hope that from Kartal or Norrie, one of them would win.
We just want one, please. We're praying to the heavens.
Yeah, also Sabalenka Mertens, they used to be very
They've won
good
doubles Grand Slams.
Partners.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
So that's quite nice that they're, reconnecting, but albeit on the other side of the net. And also, how much further can Solana Sierra, the lucky loser, go? Will she continue her dream run, or will Siegmund's dream run continue? That's a really fascinating encounter with so much to play for both of those ladies. So yeah, let's see what happens. Very excited for the fourth round action to get underway. And that does indeed wrap up our Wimbledon Day 6 catch-up, brought to you by Babolat here at Tennis Weekly HQ. We hope you've enjoyed the ride with us as always. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of action from Wimbledon, where we are producing daily episodes across the fortnight. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all your favourite podcast platforms out there. And if you love what you're hearing, then do be sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube.
Yeah, it really does make a big difference to us if you do rate the podcast, or if you do comment or engage with our videos, because it helps more people to see them, and it also helps us to grow the channel. So please do that as well. Please check out, and I promise you that we will be posting it very, very soon to our socials. Rafa, treading on Kim, crushing her poor foot. The hologram of Rafa Voyage, that will be going live. I'm not sure that's exactly what we thought we'd be posting on our social media this tournament, Kim, but we are. That will be across all socials. That'll be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and X. And the handle for that is Tennis Weekly Pod. And if you'd like to submit a mailbag, Or I can actually tell you, I haven't gone back to Carol Girling, obviously Joel's mother, but it's about Eastbourne, so I have got a bit of time to reply there. So
almost a year.
Almost a year, so that one's okay. But I do normally respond very quickly. So if there's anything else you'd like to know about, then I will obviously get back to you. Or check out our website, tennisweekly.co.uk.
Yes, and we'll be back on Sunday for our Wimbledon Day 7 catch-up brought to you by Babolat. There's no more middle Sunday rest, of course. It's I think the third or fourth day that this has now been a thing. So, yeah, there's no more manic Monday fourth round anymore. It's all kind of split out, but we'll be back anyway. Day 7 catch-up tomorrow. So until then, it's goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next time on Tennis Weekly.